Welcome to another episode of the Diversity Project. I am your host, Rhonda Kulch, and this week we're going to be talking about saving our communities. Let's learn how to empower each other to make change, lend a hand and be a better neighbor and a better friend. We are so excited that we have in the studio today such amazing people that really are helping to strengthen our communities, bring awareness to projects that they are working on that are personal to them. And I am so excited to bring on our first guest in studio, Cheryl Schiefer. She is a resident of Miller Place and is doing such amazing work. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Rhonda. Thank you for having me.
Oh, of course. So, I learned of you really, and I hate to say it like this, but I learned about you through social media, through the Facebook page called We Back the Blue.
That's correct.
You're one of the founders?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about We Back the Blue and what inspired you to put this, this group together and what it means to you.
So back in June, when right after the height of COVID, we started having protests and talk about defunding the police. And my girlfriend, Kim Marino, whose husband is a police officer, called me up and she said, you know what, I would really like to start a group where we can, give back to the police officers, let them know how much we love and appreciate them during this time where everybody is talking about defunding the police. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, the protests were from a bad situation, from one bad cop, and as we all know, one bad apple doesn't spoil the bunch.
Sure.
But it wasn't what people were talking about. And now all the police were getting attacked. So Kim and I started the Facebook page called We Back the Blue, which was just started in our small community. And we were going to take care of all the police officers in Nassau and Suffolk County. And we brought on two other women, Jennifer Schreiber and Allison Sparrow, and their husbands are also on the job. So within 2 days of us starting this group, we had 6,000 members.
Yeah.
We were asking people to post positive pictures of their loved ones, where they work. People were sending in donations to us. So we decided to do nominations. Everybody would nominate an officer, and we would go take care of that officer and that command. Long story short, within 2 weeks, we covered all Nassau and Suffolk County precincts with donations from yourself.
Yeah, we try. We try to give folk, do the right thing for our community when we believe in the causes that the people represent.
And we appreciate it. Mm-hmm. And it got so big that we decided to take care of New York City police precincts. To date, I have visited 45 police precincts with the monetary donations plus food donations from restaurants in our community. This is very dear to me. I am a retired New York City detective. I spent 20 years on the police department. I worked through 9/11, where we were heroes. This day and age of an officer being on a job, it's very difficult for them. Also, my daughter, 23 years old, is a New York City police officer now. So you can say this hits close to home.
And I think what happens when people hear the word police officer, sometimes they have this vision of what that looks like. And I know that we are on the radio, so our listeners can't really see you and they don't really know what your daughter looks like, but she's a small fry.
She's a small fry. She's my 5'2" lioness.
And, she's mighty. And I will say that from the stories.
She's my hero. She is my hero. And I never thought that she would choose this profession after she was only 4 years old when September 11th happened. And my husband, who was also on the job, she, for 3 weeks, was sent to different places because my husband and I were both working down at Ground Zero.
Yeah.
And she, at 4 years old, grew up very quickly. And for her to become this beautiful young woman and choose this profession, it astonishes me. So that's why We Back the Blue is very, very important. When we go to these commands, the smiles, the tears that come out of these officers.
I think what happened is, there's a point in time where you and I, where we grew up, and we grew up in a society where we respected authority. And right now, because of, unfortunate circumstances, social media lending a huge hand in how people feel and respond to, I call these things active terrorism. We're local. You and I have a lot of the same beliefs, which is the reason why when Kim Marino invited me to, monitor the page, I wanted to get involved in helping to spread awareness about what what you're doing, not organization, but what you're doing for the community, because it's really extending gratitude to the people that put themselves on the front line every single day to protect our families, our societies, our small businesses. Here, obviously the show, it's the Diversity Project, and we love talking about having people have multiple opinions and multiple viewpoints about anything. But it would be absolutely devastating for me to hear somebody say that they can't respect the authority that is there to protect them, because it's until they need that person and that protection, that things will change for them.
Well, you're absolutely correct. We live in a country where we have laws. And if we don't have those laws, then our country is not going to be the great country it is. And these police officers, like you say, they go out there every day. And unless you walk in their shoes, you don't know what they're about.
Now, I know that your daughter's on the job. She's in the city, correct?
Yes.
Does she come home telling you stories about, what her day is like? I mean, because it's going to be different for her than it was for you when you were on the job.
So when COVID started, my daughter went to work every day with no days off for 3 weeks. 65 officers in her command came down with COVID. She was fortunate enough not to have it. Then she was pushed into the protests. I know people call them peaceful protests, but the pictures of what my daughter was sending me, her police car being lit on fire, buildings being destroyed, the Upper East Side was a total disarray. Tiffany's, Gucci, all the high-end stores smashed, set on fire. You don't see that on the regular media shows. So for my daughter to send me this, it was heartbreaking, because I did 20 years in the New York City Police Department from 1985 to 2004, and I never saw destruction other than 9/11. And yes, I do. I call this domestic terrorism, just like you.
And how, the page itself, and again, it's called We Back the Blue. So I absolutely encourage our listeners to go to that page, because I know that what you're trying to do, and again, this is not a political...
Yes, I will say that. My page is not political. I love everybody. I do not care what your political views are. This is strictly about supporting our men and women in blue, taking care of them, letting them know, don't give up. It's going to get better. There's people that love and admire you.
And I think it's about also sharing hope and sharing stories and bringing awareness to people that may not have heard the stories about what your daughter is sharing and what other people on the Facebook page are sharing. And I think also a huge takeaway, which I love, social media could be, there's two sides of, to social media. And of course we love it to educate ourselves, but sometimes we don't love it because we're over educating ourselves. And unfortunately, when I go to your page and I've seen, I admire, and I think those are the words, I admire the work that you and the women are doing, because what's so important about what your initiative is you're taking your own time. This is not something that you're getting paid to do. You have you're taking a stand and trying to create a movement to bring awareness to our men and women in blue who are frontline, there to protect and serve. So again, in studio today, we have Cheryl Schiefer with the Facebook page We Back the Blue. You are listening to the Diversity Project, and I am your host, Rhonda Kulch. And again, episodes like this cannot take place without our sponsors. So we'd like to thank Jet Direct Mortgage, Exit New York Metro, Indigo down in Patchogue Village, the Equity First Foundation, and Trademark Talent. Stay tuned. We have more exciting guests coming up any minute.